ready to go. The Saints won the toss. They have elected to receive Dan Bailey with 13 touchbacks on his 15 kickoffs. Will send it down toward Marcus Murphy, a rookie out of Missouri, picked in the 7th round. Drew Brees loosening up, ready for his first action in 2 weeks. And off we go from New Orleans on this Sunday night, and this kick is returnable from the 1-yard line. The rookie Murphy comes straight up the middle, and Marcus Murphy gets the crowd excited right off the bat as he brings it back to the 37-yard line. Barry Church makes the tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's take a look at the New Orleans offense.
Drew Brees, Purdue Boilermakers.
Mark Ingram, Alabama.
Austin Johnson, Tennessee.
Brandon Cooks, Oregon State.
Marcus Colston, Hofstra University.
Benjamin Watson, Georgia.
Teron Armstead, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Tim Lolito, Grand Valley State.
Max Unger, Oregon.
Senio Kilamete, Washington.
Zach Strief, Northwestern.
And the first play is run out of the pistol formation. The short shotgun as Mark Ingram makes the catch. He's made a ton this year. Short gain. Gatchkar makes the tackle. So Drew Brees, 398 career touchdown passes. He'll join a very elite list with 2 more. 5th most in NFL history. 2nd down and 6 here.
Under. Mike 5'9", 5'9".
Kyrie Robinson is the tailback. And they come up with Austin Johnson at fullback. And Brees, under pressure, gets it away, intended for Robinson. Cowboys able to put a little bit of heat on him. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
Well, inside, probably the best player on this defensive line. You've got Tyrone Crawford, who basically they just missed. Tim Lolito missed, and I know it was a screen pass, but sometimes you don't want to have to throw a screen pass that fast. So good start right away, and now right back to 3rd down for the New Orleans Saints. This is where they need to prove themselves here.
3rd down and 6. Cowboys show blitz, and here they come. And Brees hit as he throws, and it is almost intercepted at the 50-yard line. Drew was contacted. Tyler Patman was there, couldn't hold on. DeMarcus Lawrence was the lineman who came in and made contact with Brees as he released.
I think Lawrence is going to get a piece of the ball here right as Brees threw it, and that's exactly how he got hurt before. We'll just keep an eye on him, make sure he's fine, but he got hit while throwing in the last one. I think he pretty much got just a piece of the ball there, and lucky they escaped without an interception on the first drive.
Thomas Morstead, the Saints punter for the last several years, gets this one away. Cole Beasley calls for and makes the fair catch at the 14-yard line. And let's take a look at the Dallas starters.
Brandon Weeden, Oklahoma State.
Joseph Randall, Oklahoma State. Terrence Williams, Baylor.
Cole Beasley, SMU.
Jason Witten, Tennessee.
Gavin Escobar, San Diego State.
Tyron Smith, USC.
Ronald Leary, University of Memphis.
Travis Frederick, Wisconsin.
Zach Martin, Notre Dame.
Doug Free, Northern Illinois University.
Outstanding front 5 there to get Leary back. He was hurt last week, so they're back intact. Joseph Randall is their starting running back. You know, they lost DeMarco Murray to Philadelphia in the offseason, so they have a 3-headed running back situation right now. Randall being the #1 guy. And here he goes, cutting it back, finding room, and a first down as he gets tripped up at the 28-yard line. Brandon Browner got a hand on him after a gain of 14.
Well, we saw Randall early on make some incredible runs in that game a week ago, and then all of a sudden the Cowboys fell apart in the second half. And it's sort of a dilemma, I think, for Jason Garrett. He was a little frustrated with the fact that Randall doesn't always hit the hole hard. He came up short on a 3rd and 1 last week, but he also makes some plays like that.
There's Tony Romo on the sideline watching Brandon Weeden. You've got Lance Dunbar in the backfield right now. He's only carried the ball twice this year. They love to throw to him. And here is his 3rd carry of the season, and it's a beauty. Maybe he should have the ball more. Inside the 40, tackled inside the 30 of New Orleans by Brandon Browner. Huge run for Lance Dunbar. And Jason Garrett saying, come on, get to the line fast. 45-yard gain.
Watch Doug Free. He's going to secure the first level and then get up to the second level. And there you go. Jason Witten with a nice block on the outside. But Al, this is so much like what happened a week ago against the Falcons. They came out right away and you go, God, they look like world beaters out there. And then the second half, it just completely disappeared.
Yeah, they had a 14-point lead 3 different times in that game. Were outscored 22-zip in the second half. Now straight through the middle and running into a pile of traffic is Joseph Randle to the 25.
Yeah, and I thought that really it was just a case that the Cowboys and that offensive line didn't quite live up to what they had been in the past.
Well, Whedon last week, 22 for 26. However, only 4 of those 22 completions were to wide receivers, and in fact, all 4 were to Cole Beasley. Terrence Williams caught none. He threw everything underneath. But he said, hey, look, man, I'm not checked down Charlie. I've got a pretty good arm. And when he was a baseball player in high school, he threw 97 miles an hour. So he has a good arm.
I think he can throw it deep, yes.
Second down and 8. Under pressure, dumps it off over the middle. And this is Terrence Williams, who did not catch one pass last year, picks up the first down. Let's take a look at the New Orleans D.
Bobby Richardson, Indiana.
John Jenkins, University of Georgia.
Kevin Williams, Oklahoma State.
Cameron Jordan, UC Berkeley.
Holy Kikaha, Washington.
Stephon Anthony, Clemson University.
David Hawthorne, TCU.
Delvin Bro, McDonough 35, Senior High.
Kenny Vaccaro, Texas.
Kenny Phillips to U.
Brandon Browner, Oregon State.
Couple of rookies starting. They have 8 rookies on defense on their 53-man roster. First out of the 17. Stay on the ground, and this time the Saints are right there going nowhere. Joseph Randle gets tackled by one of the rookies. That is Bobby Richardson, a rookie out of Indiana, free agent.
Boy, was that nice, huh? So many rookies playing such a key and pivotal role here on this Saints team. And you go, this is strictly rebuilding, no question. The most defensive snaps by rookies of any team, and by a large margin there, 640 snaps. But when you get play like Bobby Richardson just made, you understand why.
Well, Richardson playing the spot that was occupied until this week by Akeem Hicks, who was traded to the Patriots. Second down and 14, and Whedon goes to the end zone a little too far for Terrence Williams. Reaches out for Delvin Breaux with the coverage on the play, and that will set up a third down and 14 for Dallas.
And this is one of the hot players right here for the New Orleans Saints. A remarkable story. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. But this Delvin Breaux, for him to just be playing in the National Football League, pretty remarkable. But Brandon Whedon did take a shot down the field early in this one, and we kind of expected that.
Third and 14 from the 21. Crowd in full throat. And Whedon with a clean pocket throws, and that's caught well short of the first down. Jason Witten makes the catch, as he's been doing for 13 years for the Cowboys, and that sets up a field goal attempt.
Well, Rob Ryan more than happy to give that one. You see everybody defensively standing right there on the first down line, so they're going to give Jason Witten that one, rally up, make the tackle, force to settle for a field goal. So I think despite the big plays to start that drive, Cowboys unable to finish it.
Dan Bailey will attempt a 30-yarder. And he's been brilliant throughout his career. And splits the uprights for the first points of the game. 9:41 to go in the opening quarter. 3-0 Dallas. New Orleans native Kermit Ruffin's getting everyone ready for the Saints game tonight at his club, Mother-in-Law's. Jerry Jones, all he's had in the past couple of months are 2 hip replacements, but down on the field before the game, looking good. Owned the Cowboys since 1989. Watches his team take a 3-0 lead. And New Orleans take a knee. Murphy in the end zone for the touchback. Saints will start from the 20 when we come back to the Superdome. 20-yard line. The Saints start their second drive from there, and they empty the backfield. And now they put Spiller back there, and Breeze looks that way, then goes to his left, and that's a first down as the catch is made by Willie Snead. First-year guy, picked them up from Cleveland, and Breeze really likes this guy.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? I sort of said, you know, who is the other guy other than Brandon Cooks that you think is going to emerge eventually as that second receiver type now? And he said Willie Snead. He's really impressed with his work ethic, ability to get open, and there he is early.
C.J. Spiller, the former Buffalo Bill, is the running back here. And Breeze straight back, and then fires to the right sideline and incomplete. Intended for Cooks. Claiborne coverage. Here's the Dallas D.
DeMarcus Lawrence, Boise State.
Tom Crawford, Boise State.
Nick Hayden, Wisconsin.
Jeremy Mincy, Florida.
Andrew Gachkar, Mizzou.
Anthony Hitchens, Iowa.
Sean Lee, Penn State.
Brandon Carr, Grand Valley State. Barry Church, Toledo. J.J. Wilcox, Georgia Southern. Morris Claiborne, LSU.
Claiborne had his hands full with Julio Jones last week, but Jason Garrett saying he played well. I know that lit up what the Cowboys did by Jones. As Breeze throws, it's a little low and it's caught, and Spiller makes the catch before he goes out of bounds at the 30-yard line. How do you think Breeze looks so far?
Yeah, I think Breeze is throwing the ball pretty well. We haven't seen him take one and throw it deep down the field yet, but you know, he's effective. They're starting to get some pressure on him, though. Clearly, you can see the Cowboys now they've committed to try and come get him early in this game, and why not? You're going to want to find out how the injured quarterback is going to hold up, and so they're bringing some heat. Plus the fact that Rod Marinelli was all over this defense after their performance against the Falcons last week.
Yeah, they haven't gotten a lot of pressure on quarterbacks this year. Breeze throws a perfect pass, and that's Snead again. Willie Snead played his college football in Indiana at Ball State, and as we mentioned, a free agent, and they picked him up from Cleveland, gain of 19.
Okay, he's officially fine. You throw a deep comeback route from the far hash all the way across the field. I think that Rod Marinelli said, okay, if you can make that throw early in this game, you got it. Drew Brees said, there you go, better cover it.
First down at the 49-yard line with 8 minutes to go in the first quarter. Mark Ingram to midfield gain of 1, and we go to Michelle.
Well, as Chris mentioned, 2 weeks ago, Drew Brees was in the act of throwing when he was hit in the arm and suffered what the Saints are calling a bruised rotator cuff. And now the rotator cuff is a group of 4 muscles that surround the upper arm bone and control the motion of the shoulder joint, which is obviously vital to throwing. So the focus of his rehab was to isolate and exercise a specific area within those 4 muscles, regain the strength and functionality in his shoulder, Al.
All right, Michelle, and nobody knew how long he'd be out when he got hurt. It turned out to be just a week, and he's able to find the open spot in the pocket. Hits Benjamin Watson, who's been doing his thing for 12 years, and that's a first down on the 29-yard line.
Every once in a while, somebody says something about Drew Brees and he's not tall enough to play quarterback. Well, this time it actually was a benefit. He ducked under the pass rush of David Irving coming in there and just was able to escape, slide up. Tony Romo's so good at that as well. Those veteran quarterbacks, you don't have to be a sprinter to be a great pocket passer, but you have to have those little movement skills.
Back to the ground. Ingram, room to the outside. Picks up a first down. Mark Ingram all the way to the 15-yard line. Got away from Brandon Carr.
Well, they're no Jimmy Graham, but these 2 tight ends on the outside here are going to get the job done on the edge. And Ingram, when talking to the Dallas Cowboys coaches, they felt like that maybe he had lost some weight or something because he looked much quicker to them. He was much more elusive, and maybe Brandon Carr would agree on that one.
Mark Ingram, 5th year, #1 pick in 2011 out of Alabama, Heisman Trophy winner as a sophomore in Tuscaloosa. From the 15-yard line, the pass to the outside, and this is Marcus Colston, and he's been doing his thing for 10 years. So Colston, one of those guys, you pick him up toward the end of the draft. He's in the 7th round, 7B, in fact. They had a pick before him all the way back in 2006, played at Hofstra. And he's just been steady and very solid throughout his tenure with the Saints.
Yeah, I always thought he was kind of one of the triplets when they had Jimmy Graham and Darren Sproles down around the goal line. You had to figure out which one of those 2 to double team, and somehow or another it seemed like Colston was always open in the back of the end zone.
Fake to Ingram, then the pass to him, And Ingram trying to get outside, loses his balance, and then he's swarmed under before he gets to the 10-yard line. Lee, among others, making the tackle. That's going to make it 3rd down and 5. Rod Marinelli, the defensive coordinator, and the guy who wants that line to put more pressure on the quarterback. The Cowboys this year, only 9% of the time have they made contact with the opposing quarterback on a pass play. That's very, very low.
Yeah, they hustle, they work hard, but just 3 sacks, just 3 takeaways. It has not been a numbers-wise productive year thus far for the Cowboys.
3rd down and 5. 3 receivers all set to the left side. Breeze looks that way, throws on a slant, thought that'll be a 1st down. Benjamin Watson. He's so much more a part of the game plans these days because, of course, they sent Jimmy Graham in a trade to Seattle last spring.
Going to get a little help, a pick on the inside coming to the outside, and that's Byron Jones, the rookie, who specifically is kind of that tweener in between a cornerback and a safety. They put him on the big tight ends and like him out there, but if you choose to play man coverage against Drew Brees and Sean Payton, usually they're going to have an answer for that one.
Ingram is the back. This will be the 11th play of a drive that began back at the Saints' 20-yard line. And Brees to a wide open Josh Hill in the end zone. Touchdown Saints. Well, one thing for sure, Brees is on no pitch count tonight. He's already thrown 12 balls and completed 9.
And watch this play fake right here by Brees. He's just going to ride that in there, and everybody slides this way. And here we go with Josh Hill out the back end of this thing. And so far in the game, yes, they missed Jimmy Graham, no question, but now they're starting to find ways to incorporate, including the jump pass there from Drew Brees. But it's so important for them to start to figure out ways to get the ball back to those 2 tight ends in that position again.
Their kicker is Zach Hocker. Meanwhile, Mr. Brees has just thrown now 5,000 completions in his career. Brett Favre, the record holder, at 6,300. Also, touchdown pass number 399, and the Saints have the lead at home. Brees and Luke McCown, the backup, going over things on the tablet. It was McCown who took over last week. Played pretty well. Meanwhile, for Brees, 5,000 completions. Favre would be number 1, 6,300. Peyton Manning still going at 6,025. And this kick will not be returned. Lance Dunbar with the touchback. So Dallas now from its 20 begins its next drive, down 7-3. The running back is Joseph Randle. The fake to him. Whedon rolling and looking, and then steps out of bounds after a gain of 3, and we have a penalty. So for the first time tonight, we will hear from Mr. Brad Allen.
Holding. Defense, number 30. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. 1st down.
It's Don Jones. Backup safety. 1st down. You know, he said 30, but we were going, wait a minute, he's not out there. He meant 39, and that's nothing new because that's the 45th penalty that Browners picked up since he came into the league in 2011.
If you're going to take a guess, right?
Leads the league by a mile, too. So the ball now at the 28-yard line. Our apologies to one Mr. Don Jones sitting on the bench going, huh? And that's a gain of 5. Randall making 2nd and 5. So Brandon Whedon came over to back up Romo last year. He's thrown 74 passes over 2 years. Played in 1 game in Tony's stead. And take a look at that. He does not like to throw, as you can see, to his left. 38 down the middle. 30 to the numbers on the outside or beyond. And almost nothing coming this way. And they run it over the right side. It's going to be 3rd and 2 after Joseph Randall takes the ball up to the 36-yard line.
You know, it's logical, Al, if you think about it, for young quarterbacks. When you drop back, you can see easily the middle of the field and to the right, much more difficult. So most teams tend to put their best cornerback to the quarterback's right side. But defensively now, they have to be challenged over here to the left and deep, because when they put on the game tape from the Falcons game last week, Brandon Wheaton didn't throw a single pass down the field over 20 yards.
Yeah, and they know what we just told you. Meanwhile, we've got two receivers set to the left, but Wheaton again goes to the right and converts, and that's a first down as Jason Witten makes the catch and Browner covering on the play to move the chains.
It's kind of interesting that Brandon Browner, a guy that you typically think is an outside corner right here, is now in there covering the tight end Jason Witten, and I actually like that matchup better for Browner. With the times you see Browner get in trouble is when he's up against pure speed without help. So actually in New England, a lot of times Bill Belichick would put him on the #1 receiver and then just give him help over the top, and he's very tough when he can be physical at the line of scrimmage.
Browner with 2 Super Bowl rings in the last 2 years. Seahawks 2 years ago, and last year with the Patriots. Then he comes to New Orleans. He moves around, and Lance Dunbar gets moved around by Stephon Anthony, the rookie linebacker out of Clemson, picked in the first round.
Well, I can remember watching Stephon Anthony in college, and he was just a blur, a very fast player, able to track down even the speediest running backs. And as long as they can keep him protected and allow him to run sideline to sideline, it is going to be very difficult to block that young man right there.
There's his dad, who is a huge Cowboy fan, but not tonight.
He said he figured his dad was going to wear a split jersey out here for this one.
Didn't dare. Randall sets up with Whedon. Whedon flushed down, and that pass goes nowhere. Flag is down. Half a minute to go now in the first quarter.
Illegal use of the hands, hands to the face. Number 21, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Well, Keenan Lewis, who's been battling injuries for a year now, comes back and is assessed the foul for a first down.
You know, it's one of the problems when you're coming back, and we saw Keenan a little bit at practice the other day and had the sports hernia injury, had the surgery, came back. He's still limping around a little bit, but they're trying to work him back in. You saw Donnell Ellerbe in the game as well. They're also going to try and work in Jarius Byrd back in the lineup. So some of these guys that have been out, they're trying to give a little playing time tonight.
Play action, rolling to his right, throwing on the run, open, and that's Witten who takes the ball to the 39-yard line. That's the one thing you can count on. Jason Witten, 13 years in the league. He's missed 1 game. The second game when he was a Cowboy in his rookie year with a broken jaw. Apart from that, you can count on him.
Yeah, and Jason Witten is basically carrying the load now without Dez Bryant. There are other people trying to make plays for this offense, but if you look around, Cole Beasley and company, they're just not going to be able to replace what Dez brought here.
End of the first quarter, Saints lead 7-3, and Sunday Night Football back after this.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
And we start the second quarter. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya on Sunday Night Football. 7-3 Saints. Cowboys have the ball at the 38. And Whedon in the pocket, flushed out, and then throws, but out of bounds was Gavin Escobar. Second down.
And we might see a little bit more of Escobar this week. There just isn't really the answer at wide receiver right now. You know, Terrence Williams is the speed threat, but when Dez Bryant was in the game, Terrence Williams got a lot of one-on-one coverage, and so he looked great. He could run by everybody, play great in the playoffs. But Cole Beasley hasn't ever caught a ball beyond 20 yards in his life. Devin Street has 1 catch this year. Bryce Butler has been inactive the first 3 games and started the year with the Oakland Raiders, so they need that other piece now with that Dez Bryant in there.
His last 2 games, a game and a half Whedon and a half a game with Romo before he got hurt in Philadelphia. It's Randall taking it to the 34-yard line. 3rd down and 5 for Dallas.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They have Cameron Jordan playing on the offense's right side, opposite of Tyron Smith, which is sort of where traditionally he lines up. But Tyron Smith also a tough handle.
Cowboys were trying to go a little quicker. But now Whedon checking off. 3rd down and 6 from the 34. They come on the blitz. It is caught. That's Cole Beasley with a spinorama move, taking it to the 20-yard line, and a flag at the end of the play should tack on some more yardage. It'll be Damian Swan who came in there and grabbed the medal. So they came with a blitz. There's the defensive coordinator.
Face mask, number 27, defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic. 1st down.
And you saw Rob Ryan half the distance, the personal foul on Swan.
One of my questions about Joseph Randle is, could he step up and make these kinds of blocks right there? And that was a big one. You know, Rob Ryan on 3rd down is going to try and bring some exotic blitz and come after your quarterback. Everybody knows it, everybody understands it, and that's fine as long as that back can block that linebacker, which Joseph Randle did on that one.
Now Darren McFadden in the backfield, half the distance, puts the nose of the ball right at the 10. 1st and goal. Play clock at 3. Whedon sees it, claps his hands and gets the snap, and then throws into the end zone, and incomplete. But you've got Bryce Butler, the intended receiver, and that's Delvin Breaux, who never looked back for the football.
Yeah, and that was one of those cases of great coverage, but you didn't play the rules.
Interference, defense number 30. By rule, the ball is placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic. 1st down.
I mean, you can't play it better than Breaux does right here. All you got to do is turn around. Just turn around right there, and you're going to not get that call. But all that bumping when you're looking at the receiver, all the receiver has to do is jump back through you, and it's automatic.
10th play of the drive. Randle is the tailback. He gets it, and he spins, and he loses the ball. And the Saints are going to wind up with the football at the 3-yard line, assuming that he didn't break the plane with the ball.
It looked like Stephon Anthony knocked it out of his hands as he jumped over the top here.
There it is. Does he have possession as he crosses the goal line? Now look at it. We'll find out when we come back.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. The runner with full possession extended the ball across the goal line. It is a touchdown.
In commercial, pretty simple to see it. All that has to happen is for him to control the ball, even though he does it with one hand, and break the plane of the goal line. So here's Randle. He gets hit. He still has control, end of play right there. Before the ball gets knocked loose, any part of the ball touches the front of the goal line, it's a touchdown. It ends the play right there. So it is a touchdown, and the celebration is short-lived at the Superdome.
Yeah, that's a big difference right there for Joseph Randle, isn't it? I mean, that was about 10 inches in his favor that saved him on that one.
And this will be a Dan Bailey extra point as the Dallas Cowboys retake the lead 1.5 minutes into the 2nd quarter. 10-7 Cowboys. Brees steps up, buys time, wide open, and there it is. Drew Brees setting one of those records for the ages. And that was the night that he broke Johnny Unitas's long-standing 47-game streak. Then he had his streak that Brees snapped at 54. But right now he's on another one. He has a 39-game streak, and that is tops in the NFL right now. So Brees, 93 out of his last 94 games in which he has thrown a touchdown pass, 54 consecutive games, the record. Brady came close to breaking that, then he was stopped. 39 games now. That's more than, it's about 2.5 seasons worth. And tonight, 48 consecutive home games with a touchdown pass, which is about 6 seasons worth. You play 8 games at home. Next touchdown pass will be 400, so it goes on and on. He has 5,000 completions with one tonight for a touchdown.
So you're saying he's pretty good?
He's okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. From the 20-yard line. Blitz. Oh, and there he goes. He gets smothered as the Cowboys sent everybody. Damian Wilson, 57, was there. Anthony Hitchens there as well.
All right, they're going to come right off of this angle here for both of these guys, just not enough. And then the fullback, Austin Johnson, decides he's going to step to the outside and just simply does not make the play. And when you've got a record-setting quarterback with a bad shoulder, that is not what you're hoping to see early in the game.
Tyree Robinson in the back. That's a 9-yard sack, and they give it to Robinson. When he gets them back to the 20, it'll be 3rd and 10. Here's Michelle.
Well, Al, Sean Lee went back to the locker room to be evaluated for a concussion. The entire medical staff was talking to him on the bench after he took a hit to the head, and the head athletic trainer took his helmet before sending him off to go through the protocol in the locker room, Al.
Obviously, we keep an eye on that.
Not even close. He is the best player on this defense. He's led them in tackles every single week. He is the leader. He's the one that understands it, gets him in the right spot. That is a huge loss.
Yeah, split lip. He was out for a lot of plays last week against Atlanta. Now Breeze throws, picked off at the 31-yard line. Flag down. Barry Church has the interception, at least for the moment, pending the call. And you can tell what the call is going to be. You can see the reaction of the Cowboys.
Prior to the interception, holding, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, touchdown.
No number. We'll try to decipher this on the replay. Could be Carr.
Oh, this is such a bad penalty. You have them lured into your trap. This is a one lurk coverage. You can see it right there, the hold. It's a one lurk coverage. You've got the safety rotating down to the middle of the field. He's going to cover everything right there. You're begging Drew Brees to throw the ball in there. He does. You pick it off, and you get a very weak holding call.
Yep, and a first down after it was 2nd and 19 and 3rd and long, and Mark Ingram is close to a first down, 10-yard gain.
You know, that's when you're a defensive coordinator on the sideline, and poor Rod Marinelli's probably pulling what hair he has left out of his head, going, you've got to be kidding me. We lured him in. We got him, and they threw it exactly where we wanted.
So a bad penalty for the Cowboys. Meanwhile, on that last Cowboy drive, the Saints had 4 penalties and all resulted in first downs. So Dallas up by 3. Brees now at the 34.
Got him in a blitz.
And they run it far. Gain of 1 up to the 35-yard line. Ingram tackled by Gachkar.
You know, it's going to be interesting to watch what the Cowboys do defensively now. They made some changes coming into this game. They were going to play Andrew Gachkar more anyway. Hitchens playing linebacker, but Kyle Wilbur was going to go down and play some more defensive end and pass rusher because they weren't happy with Ryan Russell. He's inactive tonight, and they cut Davin Coleman because they didn't think either one of those guys played that well.
2nd and 9, set up a screen, but the Cowboys sniffed that one out, and that's the end of that. Right off the bat, Anthony Hitchens, the 2nd-year linebacker from the University of Iowa, stops him in his tracks. 3rd down. Help is on the way for these guys. They get 2 key parts back next week. Rolando McClain was suspended for 4 games, and Greg Hardy, who they picked up in a very controversial move, let go by Carolina. He originally had a 10-game suspension. The domestic violence incident, which was reduced to 4. Those guys come back next week for the Cowboys. 3rd and 13, and that's caught. And seeking that first down and getting it is Mark Ingram. So Ingram putting his head down and picks up the first down and is slow to get up, but even helped up by the official.
Nice job by Drew Brees. He knew he had to help his running back on this one, so he's going to pump fake the opposite way. He's going to go over and look to his right, pump fake it, get all the defense moving that way, and give Ingram just enough room to pick this one up. And that was one of the things that that Sean Payton was talking about with this team. Was he was really frustrated. They used to be able to pick up those 2nd down and 20s all the time, not so much anymore.
And another good tackle there. Gatchkar, the linebacker, 5th-year player out of Missouri, tackles C.J. Spiller, the Buffalo Bill, former Bill. Sean Payton, been here since '06, came with Breeze, missed that 1 year because of Bounty Gate. Came back, had a good season 2 years ago, and then last year 7-9, and they really revamped this team.
Yeah, and you know, nobody likes to say the word rebuilding, but if you look at what they're doing on the defensive side, they're rebuilding.
Yeah, well, they had to get their salary cap in order, so part of that is Jimmy Graham away. Kenny Stills got dealt to Miami. Here's a pass to the outside, and taken down immediately is Colston by Brandon Carr. So the Saints were very active in the offseason. Graham goes to the Hawks, Stills to Miami. They let Grubbs go. He winds up with Kansas City. Hicks was traded last Wednesday, so he's with the Patriots, who are off this week, and Hicks will probably see his first action next week when they go to face the Cowboys in Dallas. And we mentioned all the rookies, 8 rookies, and that's the 53 on defense alone. 3rd and 6. And Breeze under pressure again, and he gets slung down at the 39-yard line by DeMarcus Lawrence. So the Cowboys, who have not put a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks in their 3 games this season, are getting some tonight.
Well, and DeMarcus Lawrence is getting off the ball, and that's what it's all about. When you're a young player playing against a veteran like Zach Strief, get off the ball. It's like the start of the 100 meters, and then once you get that edge, then you take advantage. But so far we've seen a very energetic defensive start here for the Cowboys, much more so than what we saw in the 2nd half last week.
Thomas Morstead sends one toward the sideline, 16-yard line. Cole Beasley makes the fair catch. Halfway through the 2nd quarter, exactly halfway through. 10-7, Dallas. McFadden. You know, Chris, you were talking, if people tuned in a little bit late, just what we were talking about in the scene set before, about what the Cowboys now have to do, minus Romo, minus Des Bryant. You know, who knows? I mean, Lee on the other side now, we don't know. So just go back and reiterate what you said at the top.
Well, you know, this is a team, they're on the road, and the way to frustrate a defense on the road is if you can run the football. You've got your backup quarterback in there. Let's pound it a little bit behind this tremendous offensive line, and the crowd all of a sudden starts to go quiet, and that is the formula. And that's why the Cowboys have been so successful over the past year, winning all those games on the road.
2nd and 9, short pass caught. Beasley takes the ball up to the 23-yard line. 6:40 to go in the half, and it'll be 3rd down and 4 for Dallas, and they'll go no huddle here.
Yeah, but they're not going fast enough with that no huddle offense because they weren't able to keep the Saints from substituting. Now you're going to allow Rob Ryan to get his exotic blitz packages on the field. If you want to go hurry up, you got to get there like Peyton Manning and don't let them substitute.
Yeah, the Saints were able to bring 3 different guys into the game. 3rd and 5. And Whedon's going to take off, and he's going to get tackled short of the 1st down. So Cameron Jordan, there is a flag down. For the moment, Jordan snuffs out the 1st down on the Whedon run.
Holding defense number 39. That 5-yard penalty is added to the end of the run. 1st down.
Brandon Browner, and he gives it back.
And that's a killer, right? You're going to get off the field. Here you go, right here. And Browner, we talked about it. Nobody in the league has had more penalties than he has. He doesn't have the real top-end speed on the outside, so you bring him in on the tight end, like the matchup, like the concept. You just can't have the penalties. I mean, you know, you're off the field. You're sitting over there drinking Gatorade right now.
Yeah, it's boom or bust with Browner at the 30-yard line. This is McFadden. You know, you talk about Browner, and of course everybody in New England, Malcolm Butler will be a superstar forever. He'll live in New England lore, but when Browner jammed Curse at the line,
No doubt.
let Butler make that, that B line for the football. It's like, when Gretzky would set up Messier in hockey.
It was the play that people who knew about football immediately thought about, and I'm not sure anybody else did, but that was the Super Bowl winning play without question, and Browner was such a huge part of that.
And Browner's third team in 3 years, but he has a lot of jewelry. And McFadden stopped at about the line of scrimmage.
But I think that anytime he goes to a new team, it takes a little while to figure out exactly what to do with him, right? And they're going to figure it out here too. And he's a dynamic leader, and so they're just experimenting. I think he spent a little time with Sean Payton this week, going over exactly what they wanted to do.
The demonstrative Ryan on the sideline, the placid Payton. 3rd and 5. And Whedon gets it away, and they have the first down. James Hanna, who would be the 3rd tight end, makes the catch, and they convert with 4 minutes to go in the half.
There we go. Going to try and loop your best pass rusher back underneath. And Zach Martin, nice job. Looked like he was going to get fooled on the play. Just stayed with it long enough. And there's Brandon Whedon looking a little more comfortable. One of the things the Cowboys really missed last week, I thought, was Tony Romo's ability to just sort of slide around. And a lot of times he makes that offensive line look really good. Well, that time Whedon did the exact same thing.
From the 41, back to the ground they go. And this is McFadden, and he gets stuffed by the rookie Anthony.
I'll tell you, you're going to see a lot from this young man right here. And he is about a 4.56 guy running the 40-yard dash, and he just exploded off the tape when you watched him. He grew up, and his freshman year of high school came out. He wasn't supposed to play freshmen. They're babies, right, in high school. He came out in the first game, had 15 tackles, 2 interceptions, and guess what? It was Rookie of the Year for the conference. So there you go.
Some baby. He was probably like 6'2" and 270 at that point. A little dump off pass. That is Tyler Klutz. He's the fullback. Up to the 45-yard line. Vaccaro making the tackle. 2:40 to go in the half.
And it's not the wrong strategy here. I want to make sure that we emphasize when what Brandon Whedon is doing is right. As long as the Saints in that situation were back and playing 2 deep safeties, he's right to check the ball down. But there are going to be opportunities like there was in the last game to throw it down the field, and then he's going to have to take some shots.
3rd down 6. They go single high this time, safety, with Lance Dunbar flanking the quarterback on 3rd down and 6. Saints showing blitz. They run a couple of stunts up front, and the pass is a little too high and incomplete for Witten, who's covered there by Browner. And that'll give the Saints the ball back on the other side of the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to the half. Dallas up by 3.
Just wish they knew how to have a little fun down here. Loosen up a little. Maybe serve some good food now and then.
Been a while since they've had a celebration after a Saints game home, as the kick, will put the pressure on, and it's a short kick with backspin. And the Cowboys will down it at the 16-yard line. 1:50 to go in the half. 3-point game. Bourbon Street. Steve Gleason hosted the 5th annual Gleason Draw yesterday, all-day festival, 5K run, live music, appearances from former and current Saints, all in an effort to raise money for ALS research. Steve Gleason, the former Saints safety.
Boy, I will never forget that block kick in 2006, the reopening after Katrina. Oh, what a moment.
Amazing. Pass is a little low and going nowhere is Brandon Cooks, who has had a silent first half. 2nd down and 10. Breeze getting them up to the line. The Saints have all of their timeouts.
Yeah, speaking of not so many weapons, really now Brandon Cooks becomes that main threat over there, and there's big news right there with Armstead coming out.
2nd down and 10, and there's a pass, 4-yard gain. That's Mark Ingram. Byron Jones makes the tackle. Breeze not taking his timeout. So they've got to get a 1st down and get out of danger here, because if you take a timeout and then you don't convert on 3rd down, you're leaving Dallas a ton of time on the other side.
Yeah, I think they might let this clock work a little bit here. You don't want to mess this up.
Yeah, they'll start taking their timeouts if they can convert and get up to the 30, 35 or so. And that is caught at the 22-yard line, and Benjamin Watson is there, and that's going to make it 4th down, and now Dallas can take its timeout and get the ball back. So it's 4th down. Dallas took its timeout. They still have 2. And Thomas Morstead's punt angles toward the near side line and goes out of bounds near midfield. So the Dallas Cowboys are going to start in pretty good shape at the 45-yard line, and we check in with Michelle.
Well, an update on Sean Lee, who went to the locker room for that concussion protocol. Al, he is out with a concussion.
Wow, and his terrible luck continues. Meanwhile, Armstead is also hurt, and he walked back to the Saints locker room.
Yeah, and that is equally huge. He is probably, without question, I would say up front, their #1 offensive lineman. He is a budding superstar in this league. One of the fastest, it is the fastest offensive line we've ever seen at the Combine. Really fun to watch him work at left tackle, and that is a huge blow for the Saints.
Now the rookie is there, Andrews Pete, and going deep downfield and incomplete. Coverage was good. Williams, the intended receiver. Bro is back there with him. 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, nice job by Brandon Wheaton, just trying to hold the safety in the middle of the field. They're going to take their shot, and it was a good time for it, really, because you want to begin to back these guys up. And as a wide receiver, I can tell you that if all you're doing are short routes all day, it's almost impossible to get those guys off of you, either in the running game or the passing game.
The 2 balls have gone deep downfield. Both have been incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Saints put the heat on. They almost sack him, and then they do. Back at the 33, he's looking around for a face mask. There's no flag. Kenny Vaccaro was the first guy in there, and now a timeout is taken by the New Orleans Saints, because it's going to be 3rd down and 18.
Well, this is just great hustle all the way around. You're going to get Vaccaro off the edge, and then you're going to get Anthony all the way looping around here to end up with that sack. Speed, speed, speed. And there was Anthony really in a position completely opposite of where he was lined up to ultimately come up with that sack. But again, that is just a little bit of the difference between the 1st string and the 2nd string quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Close to a face mask with the official right there. And no flag thrown. Romo with his shoulder in a sling looks on 3rd and 18. The Saints taking this timeout. And now they're going to run the ball close to midfield. Bro makes the tackle on Dunbar, and the Saints will take a timeout. They're going to get the ball back after the punt.
It's a great thing the NFL does. It really does. The players love it too.
Yeah. You see all the pink adorning parts of the uniform and paraphernalia. Marcus Murphy makes the fair catch with 19 seconds to go in the half. A real anomaly. The Cowboys have won 10 straight games on the road and scored 319 points. Now, they did lose the playoff game. That's the regular season. Meanwhile, the Saints, who used to be impossible to beat here, have now lost 6 games in a row at home with fewer than 20 points in 4 of those 6. So all of a sudden, I mean, the mystique of playing here has evaporated. And a little dump to Mark Ingram. He gets up to the 32-yard line, and the Saints They're just going to let the clock run out. Oh, now they're going to take a timeout with 7 seconds. So they get
New Orleans, their third and final charge timeout.
one more opportunity.
Game clock to 12 seconds. 12 seconds on the game clock.
Sean Payton the other day, we were talking to him about, the dome, and he said, hey, you know what, it's the same home and road. I mean, we're just not as good as we were, especially last year.
Well, I can remember coming in here at times and you go, all right, let's get some stories ready for the second half, because you know they're going to win by 40 or whatever. I mean, they were almost impossible to beat here, and now things have changed. Jimmy Graham's gone, and Darren Sproles, and just not quite as explosive as they once were.
So Breeze is back and surveying, and barring a defensive foul, there's a penalty flag. So that is Ben Watson, who was the intended receiver. Brad Allen is the referee.
Holding. Offense number 60. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
And that's Max Unger inside, who was part of that Jimmy Graham deal. And of course, you can't put Max Unger on your fantasy team, so people don't like that. But Max Unger has certainly been an upgrade at the center position. He is so fast, ability to get on the edge, and his quickness inside has really made a difference for this team with this offensive line.
They also got a #1 draft choice along with it. Here's Ingram. Barring the defensive foul, this will be the end of the first half. And we wouldn't lie to you. That is the end of the first half. Dallas 10, New Orleans 7. New Orleans on this first Sunday night of October with the Dallas Cowboys on top 10-7. So Breeze tonight 17 out of 20, but a lot of short passes. 1 touchdown pass, 399 for his career. A lot of short passes, of course, for Brandon Whedon, 67%. Sean Lee out with a concussion. Key man, obviously, on the Dallas defense. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya as we start the third quarter. And from 8 yards back, Lance Dunbar not making a smart decision. And then he's down. The Cowboys alertly, I think, are going to come up with the football. Dunbar, #1, 8 yards back, comes out. Brian Dixon is the guy who was there to get it loose, and Dunbar is the man who is down, but the bacon was saved here.
His knee really buckled underneath him, and then the elbow hits down, so he's fine. The ball, he just threw the ball away in pain. You can see that left knee buckling, but there goes the knee and the elbow down, and then just that was his reaction afterwards. Boy, that will be tough for the Dallas Cowboys, because he is so much a threat. We saw him tonight running the ball once, but primarily as a receiver, he has been tremendous.
Well, he's one of the 3 running backs, but really a receiver more than a runner. He had that great run tonight, and they work on him here in the third quarter. Just about a half a minute ago, this was Dunbar coming off the field. He was down. You saw the elbow go down, then he just flings the ball away. There's Jason Garrett. They take him back. They've already lost Lee. We all know about Romo and Des Bryant and all of the injuries that the Cowboys have suffered. They did suit up 4 running backs tonight. Kristen Michael, who came over from Seattle. Right now you go with Joseph Randall. So you have Randall, you have McFadden, Kristen Michael.
Well, on the other side of the ball, Stephon Anthony has been sensational. We've talked about this rookie and his speed. He's also the signal caller, which is very difficult to be a rookie signal caller with all these veterans around. But when we talked to him, he said, you know what you have to do? They will follow you if you make plays. Well, he's made plays out here tonight, and a bunch of them.
Second down and 8 from the 11-yard line. And nothing there for Randall. Third down. Here's Michelle.
Well, I spoke to Jason Garrett about the loss of Sean Lee to a concussion, and he said Anthony Hitchens is the guy that's going to step in and make the calls, and he can express nothing but complete confidence in Hitchens. Now, for the Saints, left tackle Teron Armstead went into the locker room at halftime with a left knee injury. Sean Payton told me x-rays were negative, and he expects him to try to play here in the second half, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. That's good news. That's not good news there as you look at Dunbar. It is 3rd down and 8. At the 11-yard line. Opening moment, second half. Play clock at 1. Flips it out to Beasley. And Cole Beasley will not get the first down. It'll be 4th down. Shy by about a yard from their own 17-yard line.
Boy, there is nothing left of the Cowboys, is there? I mean, this is, they've got Joseph Randle, who was such a threat coming out of the backfield and led only running back in the league to lead his team in receiving yards. And Lance Dunbar is just going to be hugely missed on this offense.
And as a return man as well. Punt by Jones. This is Marcus Murphy. Murphy's going to set him up in good shape at the Dallas 39-yard line. So Lee calls the defensive signals, but he's gone for the night. That job now goes to Hitchens. Next week they're going to get Rolando McLean back, and that'll help. Greg Hardy will also be eligible as well. But first things first, they got to get through tonight's game, up by 3.
Now, Rolando McLean hasn't been practicing with that suspension, wasn't allowed, but he has in the building, and that's a sad sight. It really is.
Damian Wilson takes Lee's spot at linebacker, and that is one Damian Wilson, a rookie out of Minnesota, drafted in the 4th round. Knocks him down at the line of scrimmage.
But to give you some perspective on this, Damian Wilson coming into tonight only had 2 defensive snaps all year, so they are going down the list just a little bit. You wonder now if Kyle Wilbur, who was designated in this game to be more of a defensive end pass rusher, might be forced back into that linebacker role now.
Breeze has completed 15 passes in a row. On the ground this time, Kyrie Robinson goes nowhere, ball out, but after the play had been whistled dead, it'll be 3rd down at about 9.
It's amazing how creative sometimes you have to be a coach in this league, because when everyone starts to go down the way that they have for the Dallas Cowboys, you need players that can have that sort of versatility, and Anthony Hitchens is one at the top of the list. He basically can move around that linebacker position, make the calls, lead the way, and very valuable member right now.
3rd and 10 from the 38. And Breeze throwing, and well underthrown. Claiborne with the coverage that time on Brandon Cooks, who has been held totally in check, so that ends the consecutive completion streak. Cooks tonight has caught 1 ball for no yardage.
Here's Armstead back in the game. Let's take a look at him. You can see he's a little ginger. That guy is, when he is right, he is as quick-footed as any left tackle you will see. Set the all-time record at the combine with a 4.71 and just playing tremendous football right now for the Saints.
Here's Morstead's kick as a flag down. Cole Beasley calls for a fair catch. You have 2 flags. Cowboys, when you see flags all the way down the field as they are right now, it's normally too many men. 12th man just trying to get off the field.
That may
put
it down in field goal range.
Well,
there.
yeah, it was 4th and 10 at the 38. So that would move it to the 33. And you'd have about a 50 or a 51-yard field goal opportunity.
Or possibly go for it.
Or go for it.
I think that's what Drew Brees
12
lobbying
players
for.
on the defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still 4th down.
All right, so they'll take the penalty, and we'll see what they're going to do with this right now. And they're going to send the field goal group out to try to tie the game. Or pretend they're going to kick one. Here's Zach Hocker. He's their kicker. McCown is the holder. McCown, the backup quarterback who started last week. He can now go back to his Verizon commercial.
You know, that's one of the problems too when you get injuries on the special teams getting messed up as well. So when guys go out, it means that other guys have to be ready to step up, and you see that happen to a lot of teams with injuries. They'll mess up on the special teams units.
This is a 51-yard attempt by Hocker to try to tie the game, and that one is right down Canal Street. 11:19 to go in the third quarter. We're tied 10-10 in New Orleans. Touchback, 20-yard line.
Well, it looked like the Cowboys were in a safe defense, and then Gatchkar is going to try and run off at the last second. So they were somewhere mixed between guys being injured. Were they on sort of the punt return unit, or were they on a safe defense, which essentially leaves the defense on the field? Confusion cost them 3 points.
Just trying to stay loose on the sideline is Armstead, as his defense is on the field right now, and Whedon will sling it to his left, and that's incomplete. Of course, you pointed out earlier something he doesn't do very often, second down.
Well, Joseph Randall now takes on added responsibility, but we've seen him make some great plays so far here in the first half. That misdirection, change of pace. Here he picks up really an outside linebacker in the blitz. And then, of course, got away with one here, and it was one that Jason Garrett wasn't so happy about on the sideline. He says, first down on the 1-yard line, don't be selfish. If you don't get it on first down, we'll get it on second. Don't do anything crazy.
2nd and 10, little toss back here. And stopped in his tracks. Gets back to the line of scrimmage. Randall tackled by Oli Kika'a, one of the defensive rookies. Played his college ball at Washington, picked in the 2nd round.
Boy, he's been really good so far this year, too. He's got a couple of sacks on the year. Here's Kikaha right out here. Going to hang right with it. Get on the edge. 19 sacks his senior year in college. And he's been a playmaker as a rookie so far with the Saints.
3rd and 10 now with McFadden in the backfield. Witten and Beasley in a double slot. Whedon is flushed out and then throws, and the flag is thrown, intended for Williams. And you've got Delvin Breaux in the neighborhood, and they'll see who the foul is on here.
Illegal use of the hands, hands to the face, number 40, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So it was 3rd down and 10, and that's a first down thanks to Breaux.
And after Delvin Breaux just a bit, I think it happens right here at the line of scrimmage. Coming off, hand up underneath the face. I think that's what he's going to get called for. It's a tough one.
The Cowboys have 14 first downs tonight. 6 of them have come on penalties from the 25. Randall, you know, Chris, you talked before about the Breaux story, the amazing comeback that he's made from a severe injury in high school.
I saw the footage of it. He essentially broke his neck in high school and had a scholarship to LSU, and they thought that, oh yeah, he's going to be able to play over there. And then of course LSU honored that scholarship. He went there but could never play, was never cleared. Went to semi-pro, then played a little arena, went to Canada, and here he is back playing for the New Orleans Saints now. And it's frightening to look at the operation and the scar on his neck.
Yeah, 3 broken vertebrae there, and Whedon is going to air it out, and getting free is Bryce Butler, and Butler will toe dance his way to about the 10-yard line. And it's so funny, last night we are talking, Romo smiling, talking to Whedon about, hey, who else do you have? Is there anybody else that you might be looking for? He says, watch this guy, Bryce Butler, 67 yards.
Yeah, he's not the fastest guy, but they get him isolated out there on the slowest guy for the Saints in Browner. and now they have finally found someone to take a little pressure off of Terrence Williams. It was so interesting that Whedon basically said he called a shot, didn't he? He said we're going to get something deep to Bryce Butler. Remember, he started the year with the Oakland Raiders, came here, has been inactive every game, and comes up with the biggest play of the game.
First and goal. Not only that, he throws to the left, so it was totally against the grain for him. First and goal from the 9-yard line. And now to the corner of the end zone and incomplete. Terrence Williams. And that's Bro breaking up that play. It'll be second down and goal.
Well, Bro once again, but I don't know that the Cowboys are going to go away, because once again, Bro not looking back. So if Terrence Williams had just jumped back through Bro to the ball, I think he would have gotten the call. So that's going to be something that Bro is going to have to work on, or teams are going to see this tape and take advantage.
Meanwhile, Whedon working that left side. We showed you earlier how infrequently he throws in that direction. Second down and goal. Now to the right side, and that is incomplete. Now you had Bro over there on Williams, so all they did, you had the same matchup, but the reverse sides of the field. It's third down and goal.
Yeah, when we talked to Sean Payton about Delvin Bro, he said it was by far the best workout for a cornerback that I have ever seen. There were 9 teams waiting to try out Delvin Bro. Obviously declared healthy and played in Canada, so they felt pretty good about it. And he said, I wasn't going to let that guy leave the building, and he didn't.
Well, right now that the Saints moving guys in and out, there was confusion on the defensive side, but the Cowboys are taking their time to get the play off, and Whedon will get sacked at the 21-yard line. So forget about whatever was happening before the snap with guys running in and out, guys looking over to the bench where to line up. Kikawa gets the sack, and that'll set up a field goal.
Well, down the field, we'll take a look at the coverage first. Everybody in good position. But for Brandon Whedon now, he gets the chip on the outside, and when he backs up, he just makes it so much easier for Kikaha to get there. See, when you go backwards as a quarterback in that situation, you got to step up and through. You go backwards, those tackles have no chance.
38-yard attempt by Bailey is good. So set up by that long pass to Butler, and Dallas retakes the lead by 3. It's a 3-point game, and the kickoff is taken 7 yards deep by Marcus Murphy, who downs it there. And we check in with Michelle.
Al, you were talking about Delvin Bro. He was 17 years old 2 days before breaking those 3 vertebrae that required a double fusion surgery, and he told me all he thought about while lying in a hospital bed for 26 days was, am I ever going to play again? Will I ever get to a Pro Bowl or a Super Bowl? And he has never been afraid about coming back to the sport that nearly killed him, Al.
An amazing story, and Chris mentioned that semi-pro and the CFL would have been, I think, tough for the NFL to take him right from the, from the, in effect, the rehabilitation here, but he proved his worth at those other venues, and here he is, hopefully for a long time. And that pass is almost picked off. Penalty as well. Gatchkar was there, and the penalty to be announced by Brad Allen.
Holding, defense number 24, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Claiborne.
Well, they are excited about what Claiborne has been doing, but I tell you, the hardest thing in the world for defensive backs is to not tug jerseys. I'm not exactly sure that's what happened on that play, but so many times when they get in that tight man-to-man coverage and the guy starts to make a break, it's almost instinctual to want to grab that jersey, and once the officials see that pull, it's over.
A lot of traffic there. Ingram stays upright, but not for much longer as they swarm to him. That's Rod Marinelli's MO. He says to his defense, I want you to swarm to the ball, and if you don't, when we go to the film, we're going to give you a loaf, and you don't want a loaf.
Yeah, and you know what was weird about that is that a loaf can be given if you're seen accelerating on the tape as well, because that means you weren't running as fast as you could have been running. So if you try to go faster, it actually counts as a loaf too.
2nd and 12, and that's knocked down. No loafing there. Flag down. Wilcox made a really good play, but now you got another penalty here. Pass intended for Colston.
Illegal contact, number 27, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic.
And
first down.
The contact is on the guy who made the good play, Wilcox.
Now, once Wilcox comes up here, the hard part is you cannot, you'll see him come in from up here, make contact beyond 5 yards, so it wasn't a lot. Tough to play DB in this league.
Halfway through the 3rd quarter, Breeze has the open man. That's Sneed making the catch. Brandon Carr with the coverage, and that's enough for a first down, a gain of 11 for him.
You know, you just never would have expected Willie Sneed to become one of Drew Brees' favorites, and you can see him looking for him now in clutch situations. He was a guy that really was not supposed to make the football team, and during training camp just kept making play after play after play, and everybody sort of looked at each other on the coaching staff and said, we have no choice. We got to keep this guy.
Got him from the Cleveland practice squad. And Breeze fires, and that's caught. And into New Orleans territory goes Cooks. So Cooks, who had 1 catch for net 0, picks up a first down here.
Well, you just know that Drew Brees on the outside is looking for Cooks. He is the guy that is the explosive playmaker. He's the one guy the Dallas Cowboys feared with his speed. He was 2nd in the nation in the 100 meters at 9 years of age. That's how fast that guy is.
6.5 left in the period, and stopped in the backfield is Kyrie Robinson. So a couple of weeks ago when Breeze got hurt, nobody really knew how long he'd be out. I mean, at first you'd heard a month or whatever, or maybe even longer. It turns out to be a week. So your take on what he's done so far tonight?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's impressive just to watch him lead this team because he is so dynamic out there on the field. But it takes a lot of guts. I mean, that's his livelihood, that shoulder. And when he starts taking hits on it, you know he's starting to go, oh boy, you know, how did that one feel? But he stood in there and made all the throws he's had to make.
And that's caught. And seeking that first down, Sneed gets pulled back, walking out, but after the play was dead. Breeze has really been an Iron Man, even when he was at San Diego. His career ended there with the shoulder injury. Had surgery on it. Miami passed on him because of it. Winds up here, and in 10 years here, last week was the first start that he missed because of injury. He missed 1 start in the 09 campaign at the end of the year because he'd already clinched everything and went on to win the Super Bowl as they rested him. And this is Ingram now picking up the first down to the 36-yard line. And the Cowboys are going to say that the ball is out. Of course, all the blue shirts pointing in the other direction. And still waiting for a signal, and it is a Dallas recovery. So something obviously, because it's a turnover, all turnovers get reviewed. They're going to take a look at this one as Ingram loses it. So they will check it out, and we'll check it out when we come back. We believe the Saints are going to get a big break. The Cowboys got one on the Randall touchdown. It looks as if, as you see it here, they're still looking at this. Ingram's knee, right knee down, still has control. So the play is dead right there. Then the ball comes out. So it was ruled a fumble on the field. They review all turnovers, of course, and we would suspect in a couple of moments that referee Allen will come out and announce that not only does New Orleans still have the ball, but they have a first down.
Just have to wonder, how in the world did we ever officiate the NFL before instant replay? So many calls like that every week.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field has been changed. The runner's right knee was down beyond the line of the game. It will be 1st and 10 for New Orleans at the 36-yard line. The game clock will start on my signal.
The Saints drive continues. It started back at their own 20. Again, the significance of this game, Saints are 0-3, and you've got two teams in the division 4-0, Atlanta and Carolina. Cowboys trying to just get through the storm with all the injured guys. 2-1, looking at a game against the Patriots next week. Here is Spiller now, and all kinds of traffic there, including his own guy, Hill. Hitchens gets the tackle, second down.
You know, Spiller is one of those guys that they hope becomes the next Darren Sproles around here. He had the knee injury, had to sit out week 1, but he is an explosive player. You look at his rushing numbers, almost 5 yards per carry, which among active players puts him in the top 5. So once he gets healthy and becomes more familiar with his offense, maybe he adds that explosive element.
Pro Bowl as a Buffalo Bill in 12. That's caught now by the aforementioned one. Spiller. Church makes the tackle. Barry gets up angry.
Drew Brees just keeps rolling along. I don't know how far he can throw a football right now. I think watching his motion, you know, he's in pain out there. He's trying to play through it, and he's taking what he has, but completing 84% of his passes. All he is right now is a pain for the Cowboys.
And that's 22 out of 26. And again, coming around the right side with a lot of room and getting the first down is Spiller. So you have Ingram, you have Robinson, and Spiller would be number 3 on the depth chart, but right now he's the key guy on the drive.
Sure is. So is Willie Snead, who just keeps making nice plays out here. Good block to give him that edge, getting out around the corner there, but a little bit of something explosive. You know, it's really what's missing out of both of these offenses. But now for the Saints, starting to look a little better.
10th play of the drive. Ingram is back in there. He gets it. And he gets stood up after he picks up about a yard. We had Nick Hayden making the stop. Highest completion percentage in history. You got Aaron Rodgers at just a shade under 66%. Then Chad Pennington would be number 2. Win a few bets on that. Actually, Rodgers 3, Breeze would be 1. Got to take it out to hundredths of a percentage point. But you studied at Florida in your trigonometry class.
Well, I had that all at high school.
Okay. Spiller is the back, second down and 9. And Breeze is going to get sacked by the ankle. Jack Crawford comes in. Third-year tackle out of Penn State. Started last week when Jeremy Mincey was hurt. Sacks him back at the 20-yard line.
Just much more frenetic activity out of the Cowboys tonight than what we saw from them a week ago. And it was a very difficult film session, to say the least, with Rod Marinelli. Everybody on the defensive line got Fs, with the exception of Nick Hayden a week ago, who got a B. So it has been a brutal week in Dallas, but it's paid off with what they're doing now.
Little flip to the left side, and getting to the 9-yard line is Brandon Cooks, but it'll be 4th down and 4, and they'll send in the field goal group to try to tie the game. Cowboys have 3 sacks tonight, which is as many as they had in their first 3 games combined.
And we started this game and it looked like they were just going to go up and down the field and flying as fast as they could, and now it's turned into a bit of a defensive struggle.
Yeah. Last few meetings between these teams, scoreboards look like a pinball machine. Sacks Hocker. This will be a 29-yard attempt. McCown to hold. And that ties us up again with a minute and a half to play in the third quarter. 13-13 in the Big Easy. Well, the end of August marked the 10-year commemoration of Hurricane Katrina, a horrific storm that came up through the Gulf and whacked this city with 80% of it underwater. Unbelievable damage, loss of life, loss of property, loss of homes, and the city was totally broken. And it's been great, I got to say, through the years as we get to come back so often and kind of watch the rebuilding process, Chris. I mean, you know, it's not perfect, but boy, you know, you think about 05 to 2015. What a difference.
I tell you, I haven't seen anything that breaks the spirit of the people of New Orleans. This is an amazing place. People very friendly everywhere you go. Amazing they survived that, though.
Touchback here. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, Al, 4 players in tonight's game were New Orleans teenagers when Katrina landed 10 years ago. The Cowboys, Lance Dunbar, and Saints, Keenan Lewis, Delvin Breaux, and Michael Mauti, whose dad, Rich, was once a wide receiver for the Saints. Mauti was in the building a year later for the reopening of the Superdome on Monday Night Football, and he says when he thinks back to that night, the emotions and the noise that he recalls gives him goosebumps. And Al, I was here too for that, and I completely agree.
Yeah, an amazing night. So much went into the city making a comeback, and that certainly helped the spirit, no doubt about it. From the 20, this is Darren McFadden, and the former Oakland Raider with a nice little move there before he steps awkwardly out of bounds after a gain of 14.
Yeah, it's nice to have those guards that can get out in front of a play like that. Ronald Leary coming back in after he had been injured, and Zach Martin pulling out around. And I would think now that Scott Linehan is going to start thinking, let's win this game with our offensive line. These are the guys that got us here a season ago, took us to the playoffs. We're banged up right now. Let's let our offensive line win this football game.
Well, that's on the offensive line, unable to provide anything from McFadden in the final minute of the quarter. And we go to Michelle again.
Well, Cowboys running back Lance Dunbar out for the night. We saw with a left knee injury. He left, carted off earlier. And that's one of 2 injuries. Wide receiver Bryce Butler also out with a hamstring injury. He caught that 67-yard pass, but he is done, Al.
Wow. So Butler makes that great play. You can see him there. You can see at the end of the replay how he was pulling up. So they lose another guy, and they have 2nd down and 13. And that's caught, and that is Beasley who finds the open space and gets to the 47-yard line, tackled by Damian Swan, 1st down.
Yeah, and we have to remember that Lucky Whitehead is not active tonight, and without Butler, that means they only have 3 wide receivers healthy at this point.
End of the 3rd, tied at 13, and Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. Sunday Night Football, and there is Rob Ryan, and of course in the stands you got now that guy's been around as Rob, and now you got a guy playing Sean Payton as well. 1st down for Dallas here as we start the final frame. McFadden takes it to the 49. So again, the importance of this game, NFC East, Dallas trying to stay a game in front of the Giants and Washington, who both won today. And on the other side in the South, Carolina and Atlanta undefeated, and New Orleans would go 4 back, and they've already lost to Carolina once. They've got Atlanta coming up twice, but they'd already be 4 back after 4 games. 2nd down and 5 now from the 49-yard line. And McFadden can only get a yard or so. Kikaha makes the tackle, 3rd and 4.
Kikaha has been fun to watch. I don't know that he always knows exactly what he's doing. You know, sometimes you ask a lot of rookies, and he really doesn't always know in coverage exactly what's going on. But when you get him attacking the football across the line of scrimmage, he makes a lot of plays. 2 very exciting young rookies on this defense with Kikaha and Anthony, and Bobby Richardson playing great too.
So the Cowboys spread it out. They have almost nobody left at the receiver spots. They even put Devin Street in the game, and Whedon is going to move away, survey the field, throw, caught, 43-yard line. That is Devin Street. Just mentioned that he had come into the game. Late flag comes in as well. He looks to be just short of the 1st down. You have a flag coming in that's going to determine a lot more than the spot. Did he step out of bounds? Yeah, there you go. Well, he's out of bounds, and you can't be out of bounds and come back in and be the first guy to touch it. And now Peyton's going to have the.
He's going to want to know what the
option.
spot is.
Yeah.
He's going to say, is it a first down or is it not a first down? Then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And obviously not now, so.
It was 3rd and 4. Now what they're going to do is measure.
I think you've got to accept this, right? If you don't accept it, then it's. I guess you could decline it and they'd get the ball there. And they'd be.
It's not even a catch. That's what I'm concerned. That's what I'm concerned about right here. Is if he's out of bounds, he's out of bounds, and then
but it's a penalty.
But it's for. I think they dropped the flag because he did step out of bounds. That's what we can't figure out here.
I mean, the officials are taking the measurement, so.
Right.
So he's saying I got to take the penalty at this point, and he's right.
We have illegal touching of a pass by number 15. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
It's a bizarre play.
Yeah. Because, I mean, what would it be if he had dropped it?
I can barely handle the two options that I've got in front of me.
Right. So they have to take the penalty apparently in this situation. We're going to get clarification in a second on this. This is, page 806, Rule A, subchapter 43.
God bless all those officials who have those answers.
F. Lee Bailey in his prime couldn't figure out the rule book.
They're starting to use Gavin Escobar in the slot some now, too.
3rd and 9 from the 47. And Whedon's going to get sacked back at the 39-yard line. Tyler Davison, he's a rookie from Fresno State, one of those 8 rookies we talked about on defense.
They're just going to come right through Ron Leary here, and really that's a play that Brandon Whedon had an opportunity to step up and through, and a more mobile quarterback might have been able to slide around and try and make a play there.
So Chris Jones to punt. There's a flag, and that's caught on the run at the 20-yard line. And he's stuffed at the 29-yard line. Flag came in as just after the ball left Jones's foot and came in from behind the receiver. So Brad Allen, who had a pretty easy first quarter, we didn't hear from him much, and now he's got his own series.
Number 23 of the kicking team went out of bounds on his own and returned. That's a 5-yard penalty administered from the dead ball spot. 1st down. Timeout.
Corey White. All right. Saints have it. Tie game. World War II Navy vessel PT 305. All right, here go the Saints now to start this drive from the 35-yard line. And some tough running out to the 38 by Kyrie Robinson. It'll be 2nd down and about 5.
Well, Tron Armstead, the left tackle, is the fastest guy that's ever run at the combine. And yet you can see he is just trying to tough this one out. He is really struggling just to move. And ordinarily, when you put on the tape of this guy, he is gliding around. He looks like a halfback running around out there. So we'll keep an eye on him and whether or not the Cowboys can take advantage, or at least providing some tight end protection that side.
And Breeze, a jump pass with pressure put on him, and that's Hill who caught the touchdown pass from Breeze earlier, taking it to the 46-yard line. So Drew, just prior to hitting the ground, was able to get it away.
Well, that's jump pass number 2 that we've seen with the Tight end coming across here, the formation, and just up and over the top. I really thought this year that without Jimmy Graham, Josh Hill was going to become a major receiving threat for this football team. He is that kind of a player, and yet it just hasn't happened at this point in the season.
Caught 14 passes last year, and 5 of them went for touchdowns. Off play action, the pass Colston. The stiff arm there before he is thrust out of bounds at the 48-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys. It's a gain of 6.
The one positive that Armstead has going for him is that Mincy is much more of a power rusher over him. I just wonder if the Cowboys really picked up on this, if they might try and flip somebody over there that had a little bit more of a speed element to the rush.
So Keenan Lewis, the defensive back, being worked on the sideline. 48-yard line, second down and 4. Breeze coming back this way, and that's a bouncing ball, incomplete, third down and 4.
Well, that's kind of the home run play for the New Orleans Saints. They do that little semi roll with Breeze one way, and then they try to work the receiver, that time Brandon Coleman, all the way across the formation. Cowboys were all over it.
A little less than 11 minutes to go in regulation. Third down, 4. Breeze, like his opposite number tonight, a lot of short passes. This time the protection is good. The pass is caught, but going to the ground is Cooks right there, about 2 yards short of the first down. Morris Claiborne had him blanketed.
You know, just a tremendous play by Claiborne on that one. That was a lot of pressure against the fastest player on the field. And Claiborne, who has seen his confidence grow as this year has gone along, he's hanging with this guy who can just absolutely fly. Yeah, he makes the catch, but it's going to bring up a 4th down, and Drew Brees is still out there.
Well, it's 1.5 yards, so either they're going to try to draw them offside. In the meantime, I think Brees is going to take a timeout here before he leads them up to the line with the ball at the 45-yard line. We go to Michelle.
Well, Saints punter Thomas Morstead right now has ice on his right quadricep. He's been limping, so kicker Zach Hawker has been practicing punting on the sidelines. We'll see what happens there, but at the moment it doesn't look like Morstead's able to go anywhere.
Wow, this is like
MASH.
MASH came out. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, MASH is back.
Man, I don't think there's any question that's why they're going for it here, because with 10 minutes to go on the clock and the way these defenses have been playing, you think, man, we're going to go that way. Now they're going to change strategy up a little bit. At one time they had Andrus Peat in there. Bring him back off.
Well, the ball at the 45. We'll see if indeed they do go for it. We'll just bring the place kicker in to punt, but it's going to be an attempt on 4th down. There's a flag thrown. Kyrie Robinson makes the catch. For the moment, they would have it at the 37-yard line, but
always have to think pick plays anytime somebody's quick in the flat. Did somebody set a pick?
Well, New Orleans is already moving back on offense.
Barry Church was clearly the guy trying to get out there on coverage.
Illegal use of the hands to the face, number 24, defense. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a 1st down.
Morris Claiborne, so no pick, no rub. Penalty against Dallas.
Claiborne right at the top, just right there, right to the face. Where it's sometimes, especially with those smaller receivers, they're right there in front of you, and that hand hits the wrong spot. Boy, defensive fouls in that situation, tough to live with.
Even the Saints didn't know until the call was made, because their offense had been backing up. 1st down, this is Kyrie Robinson, and he gets tripped up. Nice tackle there by Damian Wilson, who's made his presence felt. Rookie out of University of Minnesota.
Now that has been a terrific night tonight by Damian Wilson. Probably didn't expect to play very much at all. And here's one of the most elusive backs in the league, according to some elusiveness ratings that we have. and he makes the play in the open field. So that was big time. There wasn't a lot of help out there for him.
That's the Pro Football Focus elusiveness ratings. C.J. Spiller is in the game, and he makes the catch and has a first down. Wilson with the coverage on the play.
Yeah, it's hard to say if Drew Brees is healthy playing this game. I mean, the number of short throws that we've seen, and certainly we've seen him dissect defenses in this way, and maybe that's just what it is. And he's never going to tell anybody how he's feeling out there, but he has managed to fight his way through this game tonight just with his craftiness.
Jason Witten just waiting his next turn on the sideline. Saints are already in field goal range, and now Brees is going to take another timeout. So we looked that one over, and the Saints now in a tie game are down to one timeout with 8.5 to play. Big hold, and exploiting it is Mark Ingram to make it a 1st and goal.
You overload this way, you bring in the 2 tight ends and an extra offensive lineman to that side, just kind of outflank them. I'm not sure they were properly aligned on that one, and Brees took advantage.
Yeah, but he goes to the line of scrimmage, no huddle, and into the end zone goes Mark Ingram. Touchdown, Saints.
Great play calling by Sean Payton. They obviously have a problem. They come right back to it again. You see these guys right here, they're just outflanked. Linebackers confused, going different ways. No Sean Lee in there to help them dissect it. Get them overloaded and take advantage on back-to-back plays. Just the exact same play.
They go 10 plays, 67 yards. And now you got injury to insult. Here is Tyrone Crawford. Hobbles off the field. Ingram takes the football to the bench. Hocker comes in to attempt the extra point. Of course, what they do is with all scoring plays, just looking at it upstairs to make sure he got into the end zone. And that's the reason for the delay right now.
You know, see if he gets down. Thought he was in.
I did too.
Front edge of the goal line. That ball just has to touch the very front tip, any part of the white.
On the field of a touchdown is under further review.
Well, they're going to go under the hood, but we don't see an overturn here.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field has been changed. The runner was down at the 6-inch mark. We have put the ball in play, 2nd and goal on Dallas's hash mark. The game clock will start on my signal.
So look at it again, and Chris, every week we've had either a butt, a buttocks, a tuchus, a derriere, or a posterior that has come into play. I am out of descriptions. Maybe something that's synonymous with donkey would be next. You tell me.
I don't know. Everything now comes down to the backside.
There you go.
Which has probably become our nickname many years ago.
You horses, you know what. Anyway, 2nd down and goal from just outside the goal line. Kyrie Robinson is the back. He has it, and that should be an official touchdown. So that gives the Saints the lead, but of course there's a flag on the play. That's in the end zone. Well away from the ball.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct of the offense, number 29, using the ball as a prop. That foul will be assessed on the succeeding kickoff.
That's Kyrie Robinson. Some sort of sign or whatever he did after he scored.
I think if I were a coach in this league, I would tell my guys, listen, no leaping high fives. How many times have you seen a guy come down on his knee and get hurt? You walk over, hand the ball to the official. I know you guys want to have some fun, but there are just too many things that can go wrong because now the Cowboys are going to have a huge edge trying to come back to tie the game the other way.
I mean, you had 2 season-ending injuries because of goofiness after the touchdown last year. You got all kinds of penalties that could be factored in, but Robinson can smile his way through it, I guess.
Well, Austin Johnson, the fullback here, does his job perfectly. They set it up. It's going to be a one-on-one block on the outside. He's got to take care of his. It was Barry Church. They're just going to say, you got him, and then it's up to the back to make the cut. Well done by Austin Johnson.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys down by 7 now. Been a long time since they have been on the field. That was a long drive, including a lot of stoppages and penalties. 11 plays, 67 yards.
Well, and for the second week in a row, though, the Dallas Cowboys have basically not done anything on offense in the second half. You know, I mean, they have 17, 19 plays, something like that in the second half, and 52 yards of offense, and now 89 yards of offense here. No Tony Romo. The triplets are gone, and Marco Murray, Des Bryant, all those guys are not here. And NFL teams and NFL quarterbacks have to be able to answer the bell in the second half of games. And now Brandon Whedon has to answer the bell.
So that penalty makes them kick off from the 20-yard line. Darren McFadden will bring it back out to the 30-yard line. Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Hard to believe this place has been open since the mid-70s. 1975.
A lot of championships decided here.
Yep. A lot of exciting games. Yeah, Final Four's been played here. Super Bowls. And that's a 7-yard run by Darren McFadden. We go to Michelle again.
Well, so many injuries for Dallas. I touched base with Tony Romo before the game down here on the field, and he said he's feeling good. He said the first 2 weeks of his rehab have gone, quote, really well, and while he doesn't want to put a timetable on it, he believes he is on schedule. Remember, he's on injured reserve, designated for return. He's eligible to return week 11 against the Dolphins, Al.
All right, Michelle, fractured clavicle. He can come back. That would be November the 22nd in a game that would be in Miami if he can come back for that one. 2nd down and 3. And then McFadden, and he gets taken down just, I think, a little short of the first down by Tyler Davison.
The Saints, with some of these young players in there, have been pretty stout against the run. You know, they've got Kevin Williams and John Jenkins, but we've seen Bobby Richardson and Tyler Davison and some of these young guys stand up big in some of these moments.
3rd and 1. Then they got Kristen Michael, who they picked up from Seattle. He's 5'10", he's 221. They bring him in as a short yardage guy. Can he get the first down? No, he can't. And that's a very inglorious Cowboy debut because Bobby Richardson, the rookie out of Indiana, sniffs it out, takes him down for a loss. 4th down.
This is exactly what you see out of Bobby Richardson right here. You watch him on film enough, and he just falls into plays. He is a frenetic, high-energy football player. A little may have overrun that one, just spun his body back into it and made a solid hit and a huge play for the Saints. He has been terrific tonight.
And now Jones. Good punt. Murphy backs up at the 10. Flag is thrown as he gets to the 15-yard line. So the Saints are going to start deep in their own territory as Breeze keeps loose along the sideline. Drew tonight 28 out of 33. 205 yards and that 1 touchdown coming early in the game.
There is no foul on the play. The block is inside.
All right, 5:44 to go in regulation. Saints have the ball, up by a touchdown.
2, ready. Ready, beside.
5-yard gain here for Mark Ingram. 2nd and 5.
Well, you tell me. Never had a bruised rotator cuff, but there's 2014. You can see how far back that shoulder goes. And now not so far. He's having to kind of, watch this, his shoulder really, you could see him sort of force it back to get the velocity. And now a little bit more up and over the top. Probably just a natural reaction to the pain that you feel when you flex that thing back. But he has sucked it up and performed very well tonight.
2nd and 5, and you're going to get a big stop coming up here for Dallas on 3rd and 2. Ingram. So New Orleans can now begin to milk some of the clock. Under 5 to go, and you can take off another couple of minutes if they pick up a 1st down.
And really no choice now for Rod Marinelli in this Cowboys defense. They are going to have to play the run here and be stout, which means everybody's in man coverage, and you're playing against Drew Brees, probably the most accurate passer in the game.
Man, oh man, they just barely get the 12th guy off the field through the Cowboys. And Brees now under pressure throws, and that'll convert a 1st down, and that's Willie Snead breaking tackles. So Willie Snead, a guy we've been talking about tonight, through and through, has now caught 5 Brees passes tonight for 72 yards.
A very effective pick play there. Going to get, I think that's Ben Watson right up, and watch him here at the 2nd level. Just run his route. Perfectly clean, perfectly legal, nothing about it. But that is a veteran player, captain of the football team, something you'll never see on the stat page, making a winning play for the Saints.
20-yard gain, and they can take a lot of time off the clock now. Ticking down to 4:24. And that's caught, no, and then dropped. Incomplete, intended for Brandon Cooks. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
So now the opportunities are going to be available here because the Cowboys now in sellout mode. They are going to have as many bodies around that line of scrimmage as they can. The Saints are going to answer with their 2 tight end package and probably ride what took them into the end zone those last 2 plays on the last drive.
2nd down and 10 at the 43-yard line. Cut to the outside, Ingram, and he's out of bounds, and the Saints bench wants a flag for a face mask. That's very helpful to the Cowboys because you step out of bounds inside 5 minutes in the 4th quarter, the clock stops. So you have an incomplete pass and an out of bounds play, and that saved a lot of time for the Cowboys. Is it a face mask? Well, it gets underneath it, right in front of the bench, but they didn't call it. That's Byron Jones. Crowd, of course, sees that on the big screen, and that's why you hear the catcalls. The 3rd down and 5. Another big, every stop now is going to be a big one for the Dallas defense. 3rd and 5. Blitz coming. Brees throws, and even tip and incomplete. Big stop. Cooks was the intended receiver. Claiborne covering 4th down. And remember, Morstead is hurt. So now you got to go to a backup guy to punt, and it's going to be Hawker, the place kicker.
And the pressure by David Irving, a remarkable story. They just picked him up this week, but he was so impressive in pass rush drills that they decided to go ahead and give him a uniform, and there in the biggest moment, he comes up with the pressure that wins the day.
So the place kicker has to punt because Morstead is hurt. His first career punt. Not terrible. Fair catch call for it. Actually, it's very good. At the 9-yard line by Cole Beasley. 44-yard kick by the smiling Zach Hawker. So 4:05, all the timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. The Dallas offense last week shut out. They were outscored 22-0. Only 19 plays in the second half last week, 20 tonight. Only 4 first downs tonight, and they've been limited to a field goal. So they start at the 9-yard line, down by 7 points.
I know he's not your #1 go-to guy, but Gavin Escobar is going to have some interesting matchups on the outside here. He's a big guy. He's a good receiver.
Jerry Jones, I think, on his radio show this week saying, well, we should get Escobar more into the flow. Meanwhile, that is knocked down at the line of scrimmage. It's John Jenkins who gets in there. 2nd down and 10.
You know, Brandon Wheaton has all the pedigree. Drafted by the Yankees, football, baseball, he can do it all. But you really need to see his ability to win football games. It just hasn't happened often enough in his career.
And Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones watching another nail biter for them. 2nd down and 10 from the 9, and Whedon under pressure, throws caught. That's a 1st down and a lot more to Terrence Williams. So Williams, who would be their #1 receiver right now, at least as far as the wideouts are concerned. Bryant hurt. They lost Bryce Butler, who had one big play tonight. You're down to Devin Street and Williams and Cole Beasley on the outside.
Well, Jason Witten right here is going to set one of those picks that probably should have been called. You'll see the collision in the middle of the field. Witten is just going to go right through Bro on that one. No call.
Up at the 33 for the Cowboys. 1st down. Good pocket and caught. That is Jason Witten to the 40-yard line of the Saints. So they move from the 9 all the way down to the New Orleans 40. Jarris Byrd playing in his first game in a year. 28-yard gain. He made the tackle.
And this is the play they missed a week ago. That was the one throw they tried down the field, barely missed it. Whedon is just trying to hold that safety long enough, comes back to Witten on the out and up and hits it. They've got something going now.
Go 5 wide on 1st down. Four-man rush. That's caught. Beasley on the run. And Cole Beasley to the 20-yard line. Damian Swan makes the tackle. This reminds me of that Romo-led drive against the Giants on opening night.
Absolutely. And what they've done is they've gone empty now, which has isolated these cornerbacks in space on the outside. So now it's becoming much easier reads for Brandon Whedon. He just looks across the board, finds the matchup he wants, and more often than not, Cole Beasley in that tight man-to-man coverage is going to be able to get open. Now you get down to the red zone, it's an entirely different game. This is where experience really pays off.
Four-man rush again. Going to the end zone. 2 guys tripping over each other. Bro and Terrence Williams. Incidental, incomplete, 2nd down.
I think that was a pretty good no call that time by the officials. There was a lot of contact, but there really wasn't an advantage gained going down the field. On the outside, take a look here. Contact is much initiated by Terrence Williams as by Bro.
Second and 10. Now McFadden's in the backfield. Beasley slots right. Beasley makes the catch. Beasley looking for some room, but no. Stuck 18-yard line by Brandon Browner. So 3rd down. Of course, you're in a 4-down situation right now. If they don't make it here, they still go for it. 3rd down and 7.
Great play by Browner.
Yeah, he made
great play. They had about 5 blockers in front of that one, and he somehow sifted through the middle of that. That was tremendous.
Right through the traffic. 2-minute warning in a 7-point game in New Orleans. Scott Linehan offense, Rob Ryan defense. The play callers here on 3rd and 7 from the 17. Clearly in 4-down territory are the Cowboys. All 3 timeouts. 2 minutes left in regulation. Whedon, and that's incomplete. Bro had a chance to pick it. Terrence Williams, the intended receiver, and he had to play, in effect, defense at the end of that play.
Yeah, there wasn't much there for that throw. There were at least alternatives you could have tried. When you leave that ball hanging inside, almost no chance for the receiver to do anything but play defense, and now it comes down to one play. I'll be surprised if it's not Jason Witten or Cole Beasley in some way, shape, or form here.
Got Street going to the left. Witten in the slot to the left. Escobar, a receiver, looking toward Beasley, throwing to the corner of the end zone, and it is Williams who comes up with for the touchdown. Terrence Williams. So he goes to the other side, he goes to the right side, and they go 91 yards and an extra point away from tying the game with 1:51.
Well, Williams had not been able to get on the good side of Bro this entire night. Finally, he does. A little arm fighting there, really nothing, but makes the great catch on 4th down. Does that ball move? Not a bit. What an effort. Terrence Williams was beat up, not delivering as the go-to #1 receiver now, and here he is with the game on the line. I see no issues with that.
Well, so interesting too, because those two guys were matching up, Williams and Bro on the left side. Then they go the other way, and of course it's being reviewed. And we understand it's just been confirmed as a touchdown. So now you're going to have the extra point to tie the game by Bailey.
Most accurate kicker in the history of the National Football League at 90%.
That's a kibosh if I've ever heard one. But here comes your extra point. Something he's never missed.
Chargers timeout. New Orleans, their third and final. It will be 30 seconds.
Well, they take their last time out.
You don't think they're trying to ice them, do you?
I don't know what they're doing, frankly. I mean, you have one timeout. Now you have none. Well, I think Peyton, you can read his lips. Some of the ball hit the ground and it rolled. So he wanted the referee, Allen, to come over. There are no challenges inside 2 minutes, so there's nothing that Sean can do about this at this point. It's a scoring play. It gets reviewed regardless. But even if he wanted to challenge it, he couldn't.
If that's not a catch, there's not a catch.
Well,
I mean, you can't lock it up any more than that. I think the officials had that one dead on.
Well, now he calls a timeout to bring him over, but now he's out of timeouts. Now you get the extra point, and that ties the game. Crazy stuff. Somebody's going to leave here with a heartbreaking defeat tonight. Who knows? Meanwhile, you got Sean talking to Brad Allen.
Ball hit the ground and rolled, I think is exactly what he said. I didn't see it that way.
No, neither did I.
I just didn't see it that way.
Yep.
And the officiating on that call for a receiver is so tough that if he did anything but completely lock this down, we have seen this a million times. I don't think that was ever out of his control.
Well, of course, when you think about Dallas, you go back to Green Bay in the playoffs last year, and you think about Des Bryant.
No doubt.
And that call.
But let's give credit to Brandon Weeden. That was tremendous to come off his own, 10-yard line, something like that?
9-yard line.
Everything on the line and all the pressure of this franchise and Tony Romo and what's going to happen without him, for him to take this team 91 yards and deliver like that, terrific job.
And that kickoff goes through the end zone, so at the 20-yard line. You know, it's funny with Weeden, I mean, that cements a start next week against New England for sure. Remember, they traded for Matt Castle. So Castle's been in the camp for a couple of weeks. Could be activated. He wasn't active tonight, activated tonight. Their backup quarterback, they needed one tonight, was Kellen Moore. But they could have Castle activated maybe as early as next week. But Mr. Weeden did the job. Meanwhile, the Saints now no timeouts from the 20-yard line.
But only needing a field goal, so plenty of time here.
And Ingram, he's going to get stuffed at the 21-yard line. Now the Cowboys have all of their timeouts. Not that they're going to use them right here. You don't do it obviously on second down, but if it's third and long, you think about it.
An incomplete pass certainly changes things too.
Yes, it does. And that's a completed pass. And Colston, can he get to the 30-yard line? We'll see where they spot it. If they spot it just short of it, it's going to be third down. They will put it a little short of it. So it's third down and inches with 1:15.
Huge swing play right here.
And Ingram breaks a tackle in the backfield, picks up the first down. So now Ingram gets up to the 36. Clock continues to run. They can't stop it. Only way they can do it is to spike the ball. Down to 50 we go. Breeze surveying. A lot of time. Caught into Dallas territory. Snead, what a night for this kid, to the 47. 36, 35 and going down. Breeze now from the 47-yard line. Clean pocket again. Deep downfield. Caught. Brandon Coleman makes the catch to the 17-yard line. So clearly in field goal range. And now the Cowboys have to take a timeout.
An exhausted pass rush, Al, could never get close to Drew Brees. That was back-to-back plays with the game on the line. Didn't get off the line of scrimmage.
Timeout. Dallas, they're first. Please reset the game clock for 24 seconds.
The only way you hit this crossing route is if you have about 4.5 seconds. Watch the work of this offensive line. Nobody's close. Now you have time to wait for that second crosser to come across there. The next one is going to take time to develop as well. No one at the feet of Drew Brees at all. Watch the job by this offensive line. Big credit to Teron Armstead hanging in there all night long with that injured leg. He couldn't even walk at the end of the first half.
So at the 17-yard line, that was Brandon Coleman's first catch of the night. He has 8 this season. Down to the 14 goes Ingram. And the Cowboys will take another timeout.
Dallas, they're second.
So New Orleans try to get to the line. They don't have to. So you got Coleman making 1 catch tonight. You got a guy named Snead. I'm sure everybody has Snead and Coleman in their fantasy leagues. Snead's caught 6 tonight for 89 yards. And Breeze trying to pull one out at the end.
Well, and obviously Jason Garrett here thinking I want to have at least whatever 15 seconds, some kind of a chance going back to otherwise they're just going to run this thing down inside of 5 seconds and take a shot for the game winner. Pretty masterful by Breeze, huh? No timeouts and just so calmly.
Right.
Taking them right down the field with the answer.
And that third down play, Ingram able to slip a tackle in the backfield. And now you got to play to the 12-yard line. And Dallas, well, they're going to take a timeout.
Their third and final. It will be 30 seconds.
So it's third down. And now if you're New Orleans, I think you're almost compelled to try a field. I'll tell you what, here's the dangerous thing here. If you run this play and it's 4th down, you can't spike it. And you got to get the field goal unit out there.
There's no way. You have to kick it here at this point.
Right. That's what I'm saying. 1,000% at this point. You got to kick it, even though Dallas is going to have a little time left on the clock. I know they'd like to milk it down to 0, but they can't.
Well, and that's what Jason Garrett did. He had his timeouts remaining, and so he at least is going to have the opportunity here.
So a 30-yard attempt. Drescher the snapper, McCown the holder.
7 for 8 on the year.
Hocker the kicker. As if Dallas has a extra point block. This is the place for it. And the kick hits the upright. No good. It hits the upright. And
can't return
you
that.
can't return it because the play is dead. The play is dead. It hit the upright, which ends the play. So that's the end of that play with 12 seconds. 30-yard field goal. No good.
And that thing hit that upright like a Pete Rose single here. Dead solid. I thought it might kick over just enough. It was on the inside edge. And that ruined the party in New Orleans right there.
At least for the moment. Because we're going to wind up going to overtime. I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, San Diego today, tie game, end of the game, missed a field goal, but Cleveland was offside, get a second chance, win it.
Well, they say there's no way to practice for the pressure of making a 3-foot putt to win the Masters. There's no way to practice for the pressure of a game-winning field goal. Some people can deliver, and some people can't.
So we go to overtime, and of course, we will have a coin flip. And we will see who wins the toss and who will get it. Each team will have the opportunity to have the ball once unless the team receiving scores a touchdown or the defense winds up with a touchdown or safety. If the teams are tied after one possession each, the next score will win the game. It can end in a tie. It's not like postseason. Play 15 minutes, 2 timeouts. No challenges, all reviews from the booth. So a field goal on the first possession would extend the game. A touchdown on the first possession would end the game. And if you don't score at all on your first possession, the other team gets it.
We will now play one overtime period of up to 15 minutes in which each team will have the opportunity to possess the ball unless the team first possessing scores a touchdown or there is a safety. We will use fourth quarter timing rules. Each team is allowed 2 timeouts. Replay reviews will come from upstairs. Do you have any questions? Okay. The same coin as before. The shield is heads. The ribbon is tails. Dallas, I need your option. Tails. The call is tails. And it is heads. New Orleans. You will receive. You're going to kick this way. New Orleans turn around. They have won and will receive. Good luck, gentlemen.
So instead of the game ending with a field goal, it ends with a doink, as Coach Madden would like to say, and we go to overtime. Back after these messages. To overtime we go. Again, the standings. Cowboys trying to stay on top in the East. A loss would put them into a tie with the Giants in Washington, and New Orleans just trying to stay alive with Carolina and Atlanta at 4-0, trying to get off the schneid. So the Saints will get the ball, and they will get the ball at the 20-yard line. So Breeze, who led that masterful drive, 279 yards tonight for him, and 1 touchdown pass. 8 and 9 in extra session games for number 9.
Aren't too many guys you'd rather have in the huddle right now. Of course, he's out there playing with that injured shoulder, but man, did he fly down the field with no timeouts on that last drive. If he can get a touchdown out of this, it is over.
They start with Kyrie Robinson in the backfield with Breeze. First down from the 20. 4-man rush. Pass on the outside is dropped. Robinson can't hold on. 2nd down and 10.
There are some big time pick plays going on out there right now. I mean, that time I think it was Gatchkar got taken off his feet by Willie Snead.
I think it's taken to the sideline, limping. I mean, just crazy what's going on. Keith Smith, seldom used linebacker, 56, is in the game. And that is caught on the run. And out in front is C.J. Spiller. And Spiller's going to go all the way to end the game. An 80-yard touchdown pass. Damian Wilson was covering on the play, and what a way for Drew Brees to come up with touchdown pass number 400.